A few years ago, I found out that I had plaque in my arteries. My LDL cholesterol was high, and according to a lot of people online and even in my doctor's office, that should have made my decision simple. But here's the problem. I am a 55-year-old blue-collar man who still works a very strenuous job for a living. I train 5 days a week, and I care about my strength, my energy, my metabolism, and my quality of life as I get older. And when I started looking deeper into my actual overall risk profile and not just one specific lab number, I realized the decision was a lot more complicated than folks on social media make it sound. So in this video, I want to explain why I personally decided to not take a statin even after getting a positive CAC score. All right. Statins are one of the most prescribed and profitable drugs in the world. And over the years, more and more people have qualified for them as cholesterol targets, and treatment guidelines have changed. Meanwhile, social media has turned this topic into a complete and utter war of words. One side says statins save lives, and refusing them is reckless and deserves what they get. You're right. The other side says statins are poison and nobody should take them. Personally, I think both sides have oversimplified the entire conversation, and it's been done for clicks. Now, before we go any further, let me be clear. I am not anti-doctor, and I'm not telling you to not take statins. And I'm definitely not saying LDL or ApoB are meaningless risk factors. I mean, even my own doctor believes LDL matters. What I am saying, though, is this. I think health decisions should be based on total risk, not just one isolated number in isolation or one number in isolation. So, and for men who are married, I think, and I know these discussions, excuse me, need to involve your spouse as well, because these decisions affect your future. They affect your health. They affect your energy levels. They can affect your ability to work. And honestly, they will affect your entire family. Now, my wife, Corey, and I have had these conversations about this, about my risk, about my long-term health, and about the quality of life as I age and we age together. Because, gentlemen, this stuff matters. So let's discuss my actual risk profile, okay? 2 years ago, I got a CAC scan done. My score came back as a 62. So for those that don't know, a CAC score measures calcified plaque in the coronary arteries. So no, my score wasn't 0. That means some plaque is already there. And honestly, getting that result forced me to take my long-term cardiovascular risk even more seriously than I already did, especially because heart disease and type 2 diabetes already exist in my family history. By the time I got my CAC score, my own father had suffered multiple heart attacks over the years. And I also have relatives with type 2 diabetes. So I've never viewed myself as magically immune to cardiovascular disease. Matter of fact, it's quite the opposite. I understand that I actually have risk factors, and I understand that genetics do matter. And I understand LDL and ApoB are taken very seriously by a lot of physicians, including my own doctor. But getting that CAC score also forced me to ask the bigger question. What actually drives heart disease risk in the first place? Because once I started digging into the research, I realized the conversation was bigger than just cholesterol alone. Let's talk about the bigger risk picture, okay? When researchers look at the biggest drivers of cardiovascular disease, they're usually talking about a combination of factors. Things like smoking, right? High blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, insulin resistance, chronic inflammation, metabolic syndrome, physical inactivity, poor diet, and yes, elevated LDL and ApoB, total cholesterol, right? And here is where I had to take and honestly just look at myself. Am I perfect? No. Did I already have some plaque? Yeah. But many of the other risk factors that dramatically increase cardiovascular disease either don't apply to me anymore or I had improved them significantly over the years. First and foremost, I don't smoke except for maybe the occasional celebratory cigar. Okay. I stay active. I mean, I strength train heavy 3 days a week, and I do HIIT training at Orange Theory Fitness 2 days a week. I work a physically demanding job. I focus heavily, almost obsessively, on my own metabolic health. I mean, I pay attention to my body composition, my blood sugar, my inflammation markers, my sleep, and my recovery. And again, that doesn't mean that total cholesterol doesn't matter, but it means that I personally wasn't convinced that my total cholesterol number was the only thing that mattered. And that distinction becomes very important when I started evaluating whether or not a statin made sense for me personally. Why did I say no? See, for some people, statins may absolutely be the right decision, especially for people at a very high cardiovascular risk, okay? Or people who have already had heart attacks, like my father. I'm not denying that. And trust me, I don't make this decision lightly. Not with my family history, I don't. And not after getting a positive CAC score. And not after watching my own father go through heart attacks and having to have stents put into his arteries. But every medication comes with trade-offs. And for me personally, I had a lot of concerns. I mean, I care a lot about maintaining my strength and building strength as I age. I care about my energy levels. I care about my ability to continue working and training, and I care about my own metabolic health. And yes, I was concerned about some of the known side effects, and these are known side effects with statins, including muscle symptoms, fatigue in patients, increased diabetes risk in some patients. Matter of fact, the last couple of years, there's now emerging research looking at things like glucose metabolism and GLP-1 signaling that I think deserves a lot more investigation. Now, am I saying that taking statins are dangerous for everybody? Hell no, I'm not saying that. Not at all. What I am saying though that is after looking at my own personal CAC score, my own personal family history, my own overall health profile, my lifestyle, my personal priorities, and the possible trade-offs, I personally decided the benefits did not clearly outweigh the downsides for me at this time. And honestly, I didn't make that decision alone. I made it with my wife. And that was a decision I made carefully, not emotionally, not politically, and not because of some internet tribalism that demands I take a side. What is my focus really on? At the end of the day, I think too many people, they want one pill to erase years of poor health habits, poor eating habits, poor metabolic habits. And that's not how I want to approach how I age. See, my focus right now is maintaining and building my strength, staying metabolically healthy, keeping my body fat under control. I do that by walking, by running, by training, sleeping better, managing my stress, which as a truck driver, if you know, that needs to be managed, and continuing to improve the overall quality of my health as I get older. Because I don't want to live long. I don't want to just live longer. I want to stay capable longer. And honestly, I think a lot of blue collar men understand exactly what I mean by that. Let me say this one more time. I am not telling you not to take statins. I am encouraging you to learn your actual overall risk. Talk to your doctor. Get your labs. Consider imaging like CAC scoring. I got a helicopter flying directly overhead. Love it. Consider, like I said, consider imaging like CAC scoring. Look at your total metabolic health. And if you're married, you have to have these conversations with your spouse. Okay? Because at the end of the day, gentlemen, you are the one who has to live with the consequences of your own personal health decisions. Again, personal responsibility. It's not on social media. It's not, don't make these decisions based on internet tribes. And definitely don't make decisions based on random people in the internet, in any internet comment section. Because becoming a better man isn't just about living longer. It's about staying strong enough, capable enough, and healthy enough to keep showing up for the people who depend on you, man. If you found this video helpful, please hit like, hit subscribe, comment down below. Have you decided to take a statin? If so, why? Have you decided against a statin? If so, why? And one last thing, gentlemen, if you found this video helpful and you know somebody who is trying to make that same decision as well, forward this video on to them. And maybe this video will help convince them to assess their own risk. Thank you very much. God bless. See you in the next video.